Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here.
Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Yet again, I am in here with my portable AC, so if you can hear that, my bad. I just wanted to make sure I got out episodes for you guys. Hopefully we'll get this actual AC fixed in the next couple of weeks. The part is on back order. So it's been really fun around here, especially when Texas has been having like record temperatures in the hundreds like almost every day. So yeah, it's been a fun time. So in today's episode, we're going to be chatting all about how to use virtual summits to grow your podcast. So if you've been around for a while, you know that I host 2 summits a year in my own business and 2 additional joint summits per year. So my own summits are one for podcasters and one for podcast managers. So I want to talk about how we can pair podcasts and summits together. So to backtrack a bit, I want to explain a little bit about what a virtual summit is in case you're not familiar with the term. So a virtual summit is essentially an online event, usually around 3 to 4 days, sometimes a little longer, with anywhere between 12 to 30 plus speakers. So there's lots of varieties that people can do here with the event. There's lots of different things that you can do. So I'm not going to go too much into that, but that's essentially what it is. So how can we use a virtual summit to grow our podcast? So there's really 2 ways that we can do this. So way number 1 is to host your own summit. Obviously, this option is going to be pretty time consuming because putting together a summit is a lot of work, but it's a great way to get in front of a new audience and really showcase your authority. Just like a podcast, a summit is also a funnel. So once you've hosted the event and have all these new leads on your list, you can start talking about your podcast and turning your new subscribers into podcast listeners, purchasers of your products or services. So there's so many things you can do with those people once you get them on your email list. And I love hosting summits. I'm a huge advocate. Obviously, I host, for a year total between my 2 businesses, and I'm obsessed with them. I think they're great. I think everyone should host them. Not really, but I think a lot of people should host them because they're a really great way to get in front of a new audience, but it's not for everyone. So I just want to point that out. Another way that you can use virtual summits to grow your podcast is by participating in other people's summits. So this option is going to be a much lower of a time commitment for you. So I highly recommend starting with this one if you're interested in summits at all. With most summits, the speakers will be allowed to promote a freebie to the audience so that you can get some leads directly from the summit, since it isn't ethical for them to share the full registrant list. So you're allowed to promote this freebie. So once you promote the freebie, then they get on your list, right? Whoever is interested. And then from there, you can start talking about your podcast and, get them to be a listener of your show that way, which is really, really handy. So, those are really the 2 ways to use summits strategically in your business to kind of coincide with your podcast and get people to listen to your podcast. And I think summits are a great lead generator, just like podcasts are. So I love pairing them together. And I always talk about my summits on this podcast whenever they're happening. I'll do like little ad segments and stuff and use it to funnel people to the summits. So I think it's great to be able to funnel people from the summit back to the podcast as well, because, not everyone knows that you have a podcast just by attending your event. So yeah, I'd love to know, have you ever spoken at a summit and or hosted your own before? Let's chat about it over on Instagram. My handle is podcasting for entrepreneurs over there. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. You can check out the show notes for this episode by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com, and I will see you in the next episode.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.